We got a wee bit more snow today, or actually yesterday. Just a little bit, maybe half an inch, couple centimeters, if that. But apparently we got more coming today. I checked the forecast before I went out. I checked earlier, it was -5, so I brought my heated gloves with me because I was going to wear those, but I went to get a screen cap just before I left, and it's only -2 now, so not quite as bad. But it feels weird here in the garage. It's really damp. Almost feels like there's a mist in here. It's just really weird. So there's a lot of moisture in the air. I haven't been out for a few days. I've been afraid to. This lockdown is confusing, and at the same time it's concerning. And I'll explain why. I did some research. I should have had my phone ready here. Just give me a second. Oh, come on. There we go. So when we got our emergency notice, and it's got a website listed on it for more information, so that's where I went to, and it's quite long. It's got a lot involved in it. Most of it's for businesses and gatherings. Some of it's indoor, most of it's outdoor, but a large portion of it is just mainly for businesses, worker regulations, as well as retail stores, regulations involving customers and that. So I'll read some of this here, and I'm going to explain afterward. I'll just read this first. So this is the general public health measures for all individuals. Every person shall stay at home unless leaving is necessary for a permitted purpose, which includes but is not limited to working or volunteering if it can't be done from home, attending school, obtaining child care, obtaining food, beverages, and personal care items, obtaining financial government or social yeah. It's a good thing I'm not reading a book here. Obtaining financial, government, social, or healthcare services, necessary maintenance for household or business, exercise for oneself or one's animal, obtaining food or necessary goods and services necessary for the health and safety of an animal, to support or provide assistance to someone that requires it, and attempting a gathering for a funeral, wedding, or religious services permitted under Ontario Regulation 82/20 rules for areas in Stage 1. So that's the basis of the lockdown. That's our stay-at-home order. That's what it covers and doesn't cover. And this part here is about events and gatherings. No indoor organized public events and social gatherings except when members of the same household. Individuals who live alone and single parents may consider having exclusive close contact with another household to help reduce negative impacts of social isolation. There's a limit for outdoor organized public events, and social gatherings must comply with public health advice on physical distance and maximum of 5 people. Nowhere in there, and nowhere anywhere in this whole document, does it specify 1 person per car. Nowhere. It doesn't even limit the number of people in the car. It doesn't specify. I would assume, common sense would tell me, that it would be limited. We got 5 people outdoors, so maybe 5 people in a car. I don't know. But common sense would also tell me it shouldn't matter if all people are from the same household. So if you have 2 people in the car, you're taking somebody to work. Why is that a problem? Okay? So That's my interpretation, and that's important because I'm going to play a video that speaks about this, and this is from the police and what they're facing, I guess you could say. So play the video first and listen to it all because I'm going to comment. I'm going to make points on some of the things that he says.
And bylaw officers will have the power to enforce the order by issuing tickets to rule breakers. But the government has yet to release, or hadn't a few hours ago, released the legal parameters or what constitutes an essential trip. How are police preparing? Nishan Duryappa is the Peel Regional Police Chief and joins us now from Mississauga. Hi, Chief. Good to see you. Thank you very much for making the time.
Good evening. Nice to talk to you as well. Thank you.
I just wanted to start off on the question of what you know, because we just spent some time talking to MPPs about some of the confusion surrounding this stay-at-home order. Do you have the regulations in hand? Are you able to enforce this as of midnight?
So, ultimately, we will be enforcing it, or we'll be able to by midnight without fail. In my experience, when government works to establish a set of regulations, there's a lot of work on the back end. So as of yesterday, some of it was already released. All the chiefs in Ontario received an all chiefs message which speaks to like 3 or 4 components of it. We know that tonight we will be receiving the additional regulations. I actually, and along with other chiefs in Ontario, have a call with the Solicitor General this evening in which we will be discussing the elements of it. So in my experience, even thus far in the last year, this is really how it kind of rolls out. We understand the intent, but the details which come out in the regulations don't come till a little after. There's a lot of heavy lifting nonetheless on the back end. We do anticipate on getting the rest of it tonight, so it's not all in hand. And we know that that's been sort of one thing that we've, as chiefs, been waiting for.
So let me ask then, from your perspective, as someone who will be leading the enforcement, because we did hear the Premier say that police will have a lot of discretion on this. And I think this is what a lot of Ontarians are asking themselves right now. For example, if I leave my house sometime in the evening, are you randomly going to be stopping people who are outside for a walk, or even if you don't know what the intent is, or in their car and asking them where they're going, what they're doing? And when you hear the reply, does it have to be, for example, grocery store? And if it isn't, then what happens? Like, do you give them a ticket, and how much is that ticket?
Yeah, so before I answer that, can I tell you this affects even me and my family, my mom, my cousins, aunts, and uncles. The reality is, I just need to say, this is a public health issue and a narrative, which of course, that has some implications that require myself, municipalities, to help enforce. But the reality is, what we're trying to do is make sure that people willfully abide by the regulations. So what I'm telling my officers is really no different than, we've got 2 acts. One is the Recovery Act of Ontario, and the one is the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act. Both of them have come into play at 2 different points. And at each point, we've had a responsibility. It really isn't a lot new for us on the policing end to tell our people, look, here's what's not allowed to happen. Use your discretion. Be reasonable. If people legitimately are on their way, to medical appointment, to the grocery store, that's what it's intended for. I think where we're going to see, in my experience, from the last time there was an emergency declaration, is you will see police right across this province dominantly respond to complaints. So when there's a complaint for a group of 5 or more, or, hey, I'm at this store and so-and-so refuses to put his or her mask on, legitimate or not, we will probably respond to those. I think you're going to see a sense of reasonableness to your question from chiefs that, again, to reframe this is why I started with the fact that this is a public health narrative that we're trying to align with and support. It is not a policing matter or law enforcement matter where, and I'm not commenting on other provinces, but here in Ontario, the way this government has rather approached things is to do what's right under the vein of public health, not wave the white flag and, drop curfews, And, we're taking our cue from that in the sense that we'll do our part with the municipalities where it's appropriate. And there are egregious circumstances. Clearly, we'll respond and talk to people. It's always been, we'd rather get compliance before enforcement. And, that's the cue my people will take.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to discern for people watching is just what's different. And you've kind of answered that. It sounds like there'll be more response to, or maybe a larger response to complaints versus just these random, like, I think we all have this picture in our heads of this order coming into place and all being pulled over and asked where we're going and what we're doing. From what you're saying, it won't really be like that.
I honestly don't think so. And here's my thing is, we want to restrict mobility. We want to really honor and reduce the outdoor gathering limits, 5 or more, the closing of additional workplaces and mitigating the rules in between, wearing a mask. And the last piece is actually increasing enforcement. I think what everybody hopes for, and I'm not speaking as a chief, and I am on a call with all the chiefs later this evening, is we're hoping for what it felt like the last round, where it was a bit of a ghost town in everybody's neighborhood. People were, honoring it themselves. But where it crosses the line and where it's egregious, people still want to go play basketball at a court or go for a 10-person skate at a public rink. You know what I'm going at? Yeah. I think that's where you'll see us. I think most chiefs have their own localized issues based on the nuances of the municipality. Here in Peel Region, we know we're a hotbed. The Airbnb example is one that plagues us, that we have been working on. But if you go to rural community in Ontario, it's going to look a little different.
Okay, I'll leave it there, Mr. Duryapa. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, first thing I want to point out is they received the orders before the details were implemented. So he specifies it's interpreted at the police officer's discretion. So they get this lockdown order, they interpret it what it's supposed to mean without the details, and then when the details come along, are they going to look at those details, or are they going to continue on with the interpretation that they had right from the beginning? Okay, problem number one. Problem number two, when they get the details, it's still open to their own interpretation. Okay, just like it's my interpretation of what the details of the lockdown are. So I see nothing in here about limiting the number of people in the car. So my interpretation is, if you're with somebody, let's say just one person, I'll use my neighbor as an example, taking her husband to work, they live in the same household, that's allowed, that's permitted, right? That's my interpretation. Obviously, whoever the police officer was that pulled her over has a different interpretation of that. Okay, you see where the concern is now. So, for me, my doctor told me I need to get out, I need to get exercise. I have fibromyalgia, and exercise is important. I don't get it, especially in the wintertime, I don't. When I don't go out, I'm in bed all day now, because I'm having issues. I can't sit at my computer anymore, so I'm in bed all day, unless I go out. So like I said in the last video, just taking the monster out is exercise for me, because it gets me out of bed. If I'm not out on the monster, I'm in bed. So just sitting here, actually, doing absolutely nothing is exercise for me. And my doctor even told me it's important, and I have to have it. I don't do it. I actually didn't do it as much this summer, but even when I was out on the scooter, I had to stop and take breaks. I had to get off and stretch my legs because I start to freeze up. And that's the issue when I don't get exercise. If I sit in the same place all the time, like for a long period of time, I start to stiffen. And I have to get some kind of exercise. And the only exercise I can get is going out. So that's my interpretation. Me going out on the scooter is exercise. So my question is, are the police going to interpret it that way? Or I'm just out for a pleasure cruise, right? Which, technically, they're both the same thing for me, but, you know, at the same time, it is exercise going out. But, you know, it's open to their interpretation. So if they interpret it as a pleasure cruise and not actually exercise, I can't argue with them, you know? And the other thing that he stated was rural areas should be treated differently. Well, yes, but based on the experience with this officer, is he treating this tiny rural community differently than the cities? It doesn't sound like he is, right? And no fault to him. And I'm just saying, it's his interpretation versus our interpretation. There's no clear set rules. It's all open to interpretation, and that's what's causing all the confusion, and that's why I haven't gone out. I'm afraid to go out. Among the essential services, or essential allowable reasons to go out, there's nothing mentioned there about going to the post office and checking for mail. Is that permitted? Because we don't have door-to-door delivery here. We have to go to the post office to get our mail. That's essential. You know, we can't pay our bills if we don't get them, right? You know, I know online that, but my point is, unless we actually go to the post office to see if we have mail, we don't know if we have it. So, you know, is that considered essential? Don't know. There's nothing in the regulations covering that. So that's my point. I'm not for or against anything that's happening. My point is, it's not clear. It's our interpretation against their interpretation. We can't argue it because they're the authority. Whatever they interpret, that's the way it has to be, right? So, hang on a second. You're gonna stop right outside here, aren't you? I thought it was a hydro truck. It's not a hydro truck. It's Altec. It says line. Oh, there's another one. Ontario Line Cleaning and Tree Trimming. So he must be clearing up the power lines or something. It was parked down the road when I came out. So, I don't remember what I was going to say now. Yeah. So basically, I was told, I don't have documentation on this, I haven't searched for it, but I was told the police are not authorized to pull you over to check, you know, to see if you're breaking the rules or whatever. So I was told that, and according to the guy in the video here, it's likely not going to happen. Well, obviously it happened here. But they will be responding to complaints. So if somebody complains you get too many people in your car, then, you know, that would constitute a response. But when you get pulled over, are you going to know that? Did somebody complain, or are they just pulling you over because they feel you're breaking the rules, you know? So that's why I'm so confused. I don't know. How am I supposed to know? Like, I'll follow the rules. They got rules, I'll follow them. But how do I know if I'm following them if I don't know what the rules are? That's the point I'm making. You know, it's like, to the best of my knowledge, what I'm going to be doing today is perfectly acceptable. I am shopping anyways. and I have to get plumber's tape. I'll probably go out to Rona for that. I'm going to call first to make sure that they're open. But we have a plumbing repair to do in the washroom, and to me that's essential home repair. That was on the list. So, you know, if the police sees me, if I get asked about it, will they see plumber's tape as an essential? You know what I mean? So that's my whole point. How am I supposed to follow the rules when I don't know what the rules are? It's insane. So, anyways, I've gone on enough with this. I gotta take a quick look for plumber's tape. If it's out here, I know I have it. I'm pretty sure it's in my toolbox out here. But if I can't, I'm not gonna look a whole long time. It's not expensive, so I'm not gonna look for a long time. If I can't find it, I'm just gonna go buy some. So then I gotta check the mail. I gotta stop at Value Mart. And Timmy's, of course, Timmy's. And we got our deal again, the 2 Farmer's Breakfast Wraps for $5, so that's what I'm getting. And I'm gonna do it last, so hopefully by the time I get home and ready to eat them, they're still warm. That's important. So, I guess that's it for this one. So, head on out and see what happens. I couldn't find my plumber's tape. I didn't look very hard. So I went out to Rona. Cost me a whole 87 cents. So it was no big deal buying it. I did call ahead. They're doing curbside pickup again. Last time we were under lockdown, they had a table in the doorway where you order and pay, and then they bring it, whatever it is you want, they bring to you. I've explained that before. So I called them, and that's what they're doing again, he said. So I said, okay, perfect. So I get out there, and I got signs. The whole front entrance area is all signed, so it's like, it takes takes forever to read it all. Apparently you have to order ahead. Now, I didn't, the guy on the phone tell me that. So I called, and they brought it out to the table, unlocked the door so I could go in and pay with debit. Because apparently if you have an account with them, they just charge your account. You don't even go into the store. They just bring it out to the table, you pick it up, and away you go. So because I don't have an account with them, she had to unlock the door so I could go in. I had to give her time to get away, retreat into the store. So, social distancing. And she sort of opened the door on the inside and stuck the debit machine out and paid. And she pulled the machine back and came back out with a receipt. And then after I left, she came out and locked the door again. Welcome to 2021. So it's actually pretty chilly out. It feels colder than -2. And it wasn't supposed to snow till about 2 o'clock, and it looked like it was gonna just hit us hard. But I only got just like little snowballs on me. That was it, just for a short period of time. And now the sun's back out again. So, well, I don't know. I'm not concerned. Like I say, we're not supposed to get a whole lot anyway, so I'm not concerned about it. So I guess that's the extent of my day. Got out, got me some fresh air, got out of bed. And now I go back in and go back to bed. Start working on the computer. Oh, this is nuts. I want summer back. I need summer back. So, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Hopefully the next video will be a little bit better, more exciting.